Hello. Sorry I couldn't get these gases up a bit earlier. It's been sort of a trying time for me. Oh, now, Boogeyman has his own theories about what I wear during the videos. So for his benefit, I'm wearing this now. Not that it means anything. Okay, now that's out of the way. These are the guesses I've received for Silencio. Since last Tuesday, nearly a week ago, I've received about 51 different guesses. So let's get on with it. First guess came from Claire. Claire guessed, because Silencio being a Spanish word, the Mexican Day of the Dead. Gina had 3 guesses right away after that. First being Dead Silence, the second being Silence of the Lambs, and the 4th guess, silent horror films such as Nosferatu. That was the one she mentioned specifically, picking up on the fact that Silencio is the Spanish word for silence. Right, the 5th guess came from Chris Poland, bringing up the Body Collectors, as the gentleman first appeared in Buffy the Vampire episode called Hush. Right, then we have someone called All Is Lost. No idea who that is, but posted on YouTube that the silence might 3 guesses. The first, which would be guess number 6, the silence from Doctor Who. The 7th guess, Silent Hill, and then the 8th guess, just because of the Spanish word Silencio, La Llorona. Okay, the 9th guess was also from Claire. Silence of the Lambs to Violence of the Lambs to Black Sheep, and I think maybe she was thinking of that little comment I threw at the end of the video, as if that meant anything. People look at everything I say or do other than the actual comment and try to find some clue in it. Next thing you know, they'll be making clues out of my hairstyle, or the fact, speaking of sheep, that Brooks Brothers with a golden fleece on my glasses, or the fact that I have an evil cat named Bob and that she's Japanese, or anything else. It's not all clue, folks. Not everything about me is a clue. Alrighty then. The 10th guess was from Theme Park Guy 1, Stephen King in general. That's a very nice guess. I have no idea how you got that from Silencio. Sorry, but that's 11, 12, 13 and 14 came from Chris Roca 8. The first was Chains. Again, I'm not sure how Chains was derived. Dirty War, that makes sense because of all the South American dirty wars, I get that. Club Silencio, that was the nightclub in Mulholland Drive, I got that too. And the Usher, because of course the Usher wants you to remain silent when you're in the theatre. So all of those made sense. 15 came from Boogeyman. He brought up a mystery spot in Mexico called the Zone of Silence, which features UFOs and sort of Roswell, like it's the Roswell of Mexico or something. And he thought because my video was in total darkness, and it might be referring to the Chupacabra somehow with UFO connections and darkness. And the 16th guess also came from Boogeyman. Silencio with a Z instead of a C is Italian for silence. Sounds the same, spelled a little differently, one letter off. And so he was thinking of the plague doctors, except of course the plague doctors happened in France, not Italy. 17th guess came from Christopher Blankham. He thought maybe of the upcoming, or actually it's already happened, the Universal horror film Mama, which had connections to Guillermo del Toro, who of course is from Mexico. And Pan's Labyrinth was the 18th guess, also from Christopher, because of Guillermo del Toro, yes. And then, why not Hellboy? Oh well. The 19th guess was from Claire, the silent version of the Phantom of the Opera in 1925. 20th guess, also from Claire, The Mummy. Why? Because of the line, "Silence! With your souls I shall rule for eternity." Yes. Bertz, that's Bertz with 2 B's, on HNN said, the works of David Lynch in general, because of course Club Silencio, Mulholland Drive, David Lynch. Right. Ferox had 3 clues based on Club Silencio from Mulholland Drive, which is an actual Parisian nightclub. Although in the movie it was in California and Hollywood, they have actually built a Club Silencio in Paris. So, because of that, he was thinking a nightclub, perhaps Alice Cooper or vampires, thinking of, remember Vampire Bloodbath, and there is an Alice Cooper themed nightclub that looks a lot like the house last year. 23 guess Cowboy, because of the cowboy character in Mulholland Drive, and because there's a sign seen near the club in the movie, it says Hollywood is hell. He was thinking of this room in hell, and for zombies in Hollywood was guess number 24. Guess number 25 came from Miguel Caro, who was talking about Spanish myths. Number 26, Giancarlo Ojeda said Michael Myers because he's stealthy and thus silent, and also Slender Man for similar reasons. 28th guess was from Thrill Seeker Network, guessing Esqueleto de Muerta, scare zone from a few years ago. 29th and 30th guesses both from Eric Zaldivar. His first guess was on the Jean-Luc Godard 1963 film Contempt, and the last word is Silencio. So also Mulholland Drive, last word is Silencio. So he picked up on the Silencio as the last word. The 30th guess was from a spaghetti western called Il Grande Silencio, which is a spaghetti western that takes place in the winter and the snow. So he was thinking maybe some sort of winter's night type of theme, perhaps. Ferox came up with the 31st guess because of the nightclub idea he was exploring earlier, Hostel. Reaper, that's Cody Williams, came up with the 32nd guess. He's the first one to actually make a guess something based on Mulholland Drive, rather than using Mulholland Drive as a reference for other things. The 33rd guess came from Ferox because the Parisian nightclub American Werewolf in London or in Paris, because there was also a movie American Werewolf in Paris. 34th guess came from Andy, that's A-N-D-E, Andy, who guessed because of the lamb thing, and perhaps Silence of the Lambs, the Whiff and Puff song, we are poor little lambs who have lost our way, ba ba ba. The Yale Whiff and Puff sing the song about, gentlemen, songsters off on a spree, and I never went to Yale, but I do know a little bit about the song, Little Black Sheep. Rudyard Kipling wrote a poem, a very long poem called Gentlemen Rankers, which is about the military and about soldiers then, and the Whiff and Puff song is derived from that. He did all that research and decided that he was talking about a war theme. Alright, guess 35, Ferox went deeper into the Kipling poem and found phrases like the damned and alien turf, and decided that maybe those phrases from that poem is what I was getting at. Then someone called Imperius made guess 36, and he was the first person to pick up on the Silencio curse from Harry Potter. I was surprised. I thought that would come up first. 37th guess would be Tsunami Fox or Sam, who guessed that in Spanish Silencio, but it's also Portuguese Silencio, which is Coffin Joe, the Brazilian horror meister. The 38th guess came from Christy, who was guessing Silent Hill, therefore maybe not Silent Hill, but a different video game like Resident Evil. That was her guess. 39th guess came from Ferox, who found that the Italian for Silence of the Lambs is Silence of the Innocent, and therefore he was thinking of American Horror Story because the innocent often get punished there. The 40th guess, another television series, The House of Cards, in Italian is called The Sound of Silence. So he was thinking of a creepy little girl, I guess, thinking from this show. I've never actually seen the show, but that's what he was thinking of there. The 41st guess came from Kurai Yagumi on HHN Rumors, who said Lovecraft. I'm not sure how he or she got to Lovecraft from, I guess, Silencio. There's a lot of quiet things. Whisperer in the Darkness, for example, that's a good one. Maybe that has something to do with Silencio. 42nd guess came from Chris Redfield. This is how he worded it, and he wanted me to give this exactly. So a lot of people were goofing on the Facebook page, on the Horror Unearthed Facebook page, about La Llorona and about chupacabras and about all sorts of stuff. And he combined it all with Reflections of Fear, La Llorona's Petting Zoo, and Of El Chupacabra. 43rd guess, also from Redfield, was there's a movie called Silence coming out with Andrew Garfield, and he plays Spider-Man, therefore maximum carnage. Like, if that's ever going to happen again. 44th guess came from Oysterhead. I'm not sure how he derived it, but The World's End, the upcoming Simon Pegg and Nick Frost movie, because of my glowing evil eyes. 45th guess was from Kyle Barnes, so was the 46th guess. Going on silent films, he suggested Frankenstein. I assume the Edison version. And then the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which I assume is the 1913 Universal version. And then Boogeyman gave the remaining guesses, 47 through 51, going off of silent movies. Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, Metropolis, Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Golem, and The Man Who Laughs. Now, I do want to make another comment before I leave, is that La Llorona was a guess that a lot of people guessed. And some of them wanted to make sure they got mentioned, even though they weren't the first one to guess it. The first one to guess was, I said, All Is Lost. But yes, Michael Quinn and Heather Quackenbush and Chris Redfield all also guessed La Llorona. So that way I get to mention them, so they're happy. I'm not going to do that every time, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't leave people out, because Michael Quinn in particular, because he didn't get a guess that no one hadn't guessed first. And I thought, well, all right, if he wants a shout out, I'll make sure I'll mention him. Interesting enough, Heather had all sorts of interesting theories on how to get from Silencio to La Llorona, besides the obvious Spanish. She had about 3 different versions involving Doctor Who and Mulholland Drive. So that concludes today. Tomorrow, hopefully early in the morning, or maybe a little bit later after breakfast, but sometime tomorrow, we'll be getting, of course, Cryptic Comet number 7. Until then, try to take care of yourselves. Life is shorter than you think it is.